Today on JiK Labs, we're going to split up some cells using text to columns. Let's get started. Now that you have Excel open and ready to go, we're looking at our sample sheet today. As you'll see, it's one column, and in each of those cells we have a last name, a first name, followed by a middle initial. And what our goal is today is to take all of those cells and split them up. Yes, we could easily come in here and say Smith, Bob, and that, and middle initial A. But we don't want to do that. Nobody's got time for all that. So today we're going to show you a wizard that's built into Excel that's going to take all the guesswork and all the typing out for you to make your life a lot easier. It's called text to columns because that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take this cell and we're going to split this text up into multiple columns. So the first thing you want to do is highlight the data in which you want to split up. And then you're going to come up to your ribbon bar. You're going to go to the data tab, and then right here in about the middle center-ish, you're going to click on text to columns. That's going to bring up a new window for you. That's going to be the text to column wizard, and it's going to walk you through everything we need to do. We have two options. We want delimited or fixed. Right now, let's look at fixed. And you can see down here we have a sample of our data. So we're going to click fixed and we'll hit next. And right now, we're seeing here a little ruler, I guess you want to call it, and our data down below. If we want to click here, that line signifies where it will split our columns. So if we want it right at the end of last, you can click and drag it over. Let's say we want another one at the start of first, and we want one at the end of first, and then one at the start of middle. And so right now, this is fixed. It doesn't matter what the data is in any of the cells that we've highlighted. This is where it's going to take and split things up. We had one cell. When this is done, we will have 5 different columns of each data. Now, fixed is great if you have a fixed set of data string that you need to split up. But as you can see for this example, it doesn't really work. We set this example up for last, first name, and middle initial. As we scroll down on our samples, we can see that that is not going to work because not everyone's name has the same exact amount of letters in it. It's just not going to work. If we hit next, it's going to say what kind of format do we want our data in. Right now, we're just going to leave it at general. Our destination is where do we want to write this data to. We're actually going to start it in B1 rather. A1 will overwrite your pre-existing data, which is fine to do, but every once in a while you screw up or you mess up and it's like, oh, I didn't want to do that, but you still have your original data there. I always like to keep my original data. If need be, we can hide it and delete it later, but right now I like to leave the original data. We're going to write it to B1, and then you hit finish. And now we can see that is not exactly what we're looking for. So we got last, first, and middle, but since we had to break up the commas with our fixed set of ranges that we were going to split everything up, it doesn't work. We'll say we have Turner over 2 columns, Alice over 2 columns. That's just not going to work. So we're going to hit Control Z to undo. We're going to highlight our cells again. We're going to come back up to the middle center, text to columns. We're going to bring up that wizard. We're going to look at it again. This time we're going to utilize Delimited, and we're going to hit next. Delimited is nice because it looks at what do you have. The delimiters are going to be tab, semicolon, comma, spaces, or other. Well, right now we know we have commas and spaces. If we scroll down in our sample, we'll see that we have both, and we can see that they're broken out. You always want to use treat consecutive delimiters as one checked. Now that may not be the case. Sometimes your data may or may not have it, but for this example, it will work very good for us. So if we're going to scroll down and we're seeing that everything is working very nice. We got all the last names, all the first names, and all the middle initials. And then it gives you a preview down here to see what's going on. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on down here? We have last two hyphen, first two hyphen, middle two. Well, it's not a comma or a space, so we're going to come in here, hit other, and we're going to add in the hyphen. And now it has broken that up for us. So once again, we'll hit next. We're going to come back in. We're going to leave it as a general cell format. Again, it wants to overwrite our data, which is fine if you want to, but I always like to leave my original data. And one thing to keep in mind as well, right now this is an empty sheet. All of our data is in column A. If you had data in B, C, D, E, F, and G columns, you're going to potentially overwrite some of your data. But if you do that, we'll show you that here in a second, it will warn you of that. So we're going to write to B1 and we're going to hit finish. And now you can see this is our original data in A. And then here we have B, C, and D with last, first, and middle. And we had a couple of different delimiters. In these first four, we just utilized commas. In row 6 rather, we utilized spaces. And in row 7, we used hyphens. And because we've selected all those options and utilized to treat them all as one, since they are consecutive, we were able to get nice clean data. Now let's come back into here, highlight our data. We're going to go back to text to columns. We're going to bring up that wizard. And once again, we're going to go through the delimit because as we know for names, fixed isn't the best option. So we're going to go delimit. We're going to leave everything the way it was so we know it will output correctly. And then we're going to go to next again. And our destination, once again, we're going to go to B1. But we already know we have data there. So if we jump back real quick to Excel, we can see in B1, we have the data that we just exported or just text the column. But we're going to say right now we're going to redo this. And this is an example of their data being there. Our destination is B1. We'll hit finish. Excel is going to give us an error. There's already data there. Do we want to replace it? Well, yeah, because we know for this example, that's what we want to do. So at this point, it's giving you a warning that, hey, whatever's there, you're going to lose. You can hit cancel, or in this case, we're going to hit OK. As you can see, nothing has changed because we literally just redid the text to columns that we did to get C through D. That is how you can use text to columns delimited to do names. You can set up commas, spaces, or whatever, or you can use a multiple varieties that sometimes your data is not always exactly the same as it was in this case. So we were able to utilize text to columns with a couple of delimiter options and treated them all as the same. So now let's look at phone numbers. We're in the United States and we always have, we have the area code 3 digits followed by 3 digits followed by 4 digits. But right here, it's just a lump sum of numbers. And there's no spaces or anything between them. So this would be a perfect example of using text to columns. We'll pull up that wizard again with fixed settings. So we can come in here and say next. We can come in here and click the first 3, the second 3, and the last 4. We'll hit next again. So one thing, you could always just jump to the end and hit finish. But that's going to overwrite your data. If you don't want to overwrite your data, you come in here and we're going to say B2. The reason why it's not A1 or B1 is because we did not highlight our header column this time because it is just phone number. So we'll hit finish. And now we can see we have our original data here followed by the numbers broken out. So both cases will work. Text to columns is a useful tool that's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of energy if you have a cell that has a bunch of data that you need broken up. Sometimes when you're importing files, they come in as CSV files, which is comma separated values. And this text to columns is going to save you a lot of time going through that data. Thanks for watching JiK Labs. Hopefully you found this video useful. Join us next week where we learn how to take what we separated and put it all back together again. See you then. Today on JiK Labs, we're going to split up some...